Well, the SACP's first Deputy General Secretary, Soli Mapaila, joins us now for some reaction. Good evening, sir. Thanks very much for your time. Your reaction?
Well, we welcome the appointment of Minister Mboweni. Of course, appreciating the fact that Comrade Nene rendered his resignation, accepted the new realities, that we want honest people leading our state institutions, and we want truthful comrades who will be able to take South Africa into confidence and also accept the consequence of their actions. And in this regard, when he tendered and asked to be relieved of his duties, and also the president for taking firm action, replacing him from that particular position. But equally, we must also thank him for the part that he played by protecting South Africa, particularly on the nuclear deal, which led to the fallout. And of course, his resignation also strengthens the Zondo Commission on state capture. And we want all other people who go there to speak the truth and, of course, if possible, to fall on their swords.
So you think Nhlanhla Nene did well?
He did excellent, yeah. Of course, we can't comment the fact, the other question regarding the allegations in the PIC. Those who still want them to be pursued and until we find the truth, because anyone who abuses political office should not be holding public office. And
even though the president says, and I quote him, it was his decision to resign, you still think that President Ramaphosa took a, as you call it, firm action?
Yes, that's a wonderful action that he took, obviously.
But he didn't. He was helped by Nhlanhla Nene. He's the one who resigned.
Not necessarily. I think...
well, unless, of course, you know something we don't know.
No, obviously not necessarily. It can be... What was helpful, of course, was the fact that after Comrade Nene had gone there and everything had been exposed under oath, then we knew exactly what decision to follow. Of course, as a good cadre, Comrade Nene followed his own example by actually resigning or actually indicate. Of course, the relief of Minister of Finance generally, it's a sensitive matter. That's why we've always not agreed with President Zuma on how he toyed with this particular position, because it's a position in which when we get a knock from an economy, the nature of our economy is such that when Pravin Gordhan, for instance, was relieved, of his dues was dismissed actually, we lost in just 1 week over 110 billion rands. That affected largely our pension funds and the workers of this country. So to recover that, you need a long time. So it's not just an abrupt decision that you take in that regard. But obviously, the president did very well in this regard. That is why at the point of his resignation, there's a replacement. And you can see this replacement also comes with a massive experience in the field of finance, someone credible, and we want to wish him well in this space. And obviously, we want to indicate as a Communist Party that there's no minister who has got policy. It's the movement that has got the policy. It's the movement that sells its policies to the population, and any minister that comes carries out that policy. And we are quite hopeful that Comrade Tito will do well in this regard.
Well, I mean, you're obviously happy with Tito Mbowene's appointment. I want to take you back to a tweet that Tito Mboweni sent out a while ago when Cyril Ramaphosa appointed his new cabinet. Let's take a look. Against the wisdom of my team, please don't tell them this. It's between us. I'm not available for Minister of Finance. You cannot recycle the same people all over again. It is time for young people. We are available for advisory roles, not cabinet. We have done that.
Well, unfortunately, as a cadre of the movement, we have individual views, but sometimes given what was required now, we needed someone with capabilities to step up, and in this regard, it's less much about what he says, but what the movement says. And I think he has responded well to the call of the movement, the call of the people of South Africa.
Of the close to 60 million of us there was only a Tito Mboweni who could do that?
No, not necessarily that. At the moment, you will appreciate, given his experience and availability.
No, that is not in doubt. That is not in doubt.
Yes.
But it is the very point that Tito Mboweni is making.
Yes,
that recycling people suggests that you are stuck. It doesn't inspire a great deal of confidence. And secondly, it doesn't suggest to some of us that we have learnt from the past and we're prepared to move on and actually think outside of the box, as experts always tell us.
There's no contradiction of bringing experience and young blood.
There's a contradiction.
And I think that's what is critical. You also have to look at the moment. The moment where we are, we lost so much time as a country. In fact, if we were to quote Lenin, who says there are times when decades become days and days become decades. The period we wasted, particularly during the intensity of state capture, has reversed us so back. So you need someone who will hit the ground running. The economy is in deep crisis. We've just gone into a technical recession. So you need that kind of capability and so forth. Of course, bringing in your blood, we're going to elections, and I hope in that particular process there will be new team also around finance. Of course, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't continue in this regard, because that position is also not a position that you toy around all the time. But I think quite clearly it's obvious that he also had to reconsider his views, his personal views, and put the country first. And in that regard, we must commend him.
But it doesn't look like, with the utmost respect, sorry, it doesn't look like the ANC has learned from the experience of the past few years. Because if that was the case, I would submit that President Ramaphosa would have acted almost immediately. He didn't. He dilly-dallied. People kept on asking questions, and all sorts of conspiracy theories, were thrown to the floor and so on. And even now, even today, he says it was Nhlanhla Nene's decision to resign. And then he waxes lyrical about his contribution, which no one doubts. But at this particular moment, the focus should have been on what went wrong, specifically what went wrong, and why that was wrong, and why, in fact, he fired him, not why he resigned. And I think that, don't you think that would have, given the markets and everybody a great deal of confidence that this man means business when he says things have changed?
No, the man means business, and I think he has taken many.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to hold your thoughts, because I'm going to ask you to respond to this one as well.